This is Ag Matters PM from the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network, brought to you by the Iowa Soybean Association. Your daily recap of the information that affects Iowa's farmers, producers, and consumers, right here in the heart of the heartland. With reports from our award-winning broadcast team of Dustin Hoffman, Riley Smith, and Mark Magnuson. Now, from the IARN studios in Des Moines, here's Mark Magnuson.
Hello and welcome into Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. I'm Mark Magnuson. Today is Friday the 13th, 2023. Hope you're staying away from walking under any ladders, any black cats, any broken mirrors, that type of thing. But thank you so much for joining us for today's show. In today's episode, I will be joined by Kurt Alice of Farmers Business Network. We'll also have a check of the ag weather outlook. But first, here's a check of the closing markets.
It's time now for the Ag Matters PM Closing Market Summary, your source for market analysis and settlement prices from the day's trade in Chicago, courtesy of the folks at agmarket.net.
At the end of another trading day, we are joined by Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. Tyler, before we get into today's trading, let's talk about yesterday and what we saw in the WASDE report. What were your biggest takeaways from the report?
Biggest takeaway was the reduction in soybean yields. You know, it wasn't a huge reduction in soybean yields from the U.S. side, but it was big enough that kept that carryout the same as it was in the September WASDE report. So if you recall, we got a 220 million bushel carryout in the September WASDE report. That actually got revised upwards in the quarterly stocks. It was like up to two. And I don't remember the number right off the top of my head, but it got revised upwards. There was more soybeans in ending stocks than what we had thought. And then, they came in. So our carry in for the 23-24 year grew, but then we dropped production based on that yield drop. So I think that was a surprise, caught the market off guard. I don't know that it justified the almost 50-cent move that we saw at one point. It ended up closing about 40 cents higher on the day. And I think, we're kind of seeing some of that in the weakness here today in the soybean market. I would say that was the big driver of everything yesterday. You could also look at that world number. They came in and lowered the world carryout by about 3.5 million metric ton on soybeans, which is a sizable drop. But when you look year over year comparatively, I think we're at like 115 million metric ton carry out in the world, whereas last year we were at 100 million. So a significant drop, but still quite a few more soybeans in the world than there were a year before.
So then, Tyler, you kind of alluded to it, but here today in the grains, did we see a little bit of a correction then after yesterday? You saw that soybean price, like you said, just skyrocket.
Yeah, I mean, and who knows? You call it profit taking, you could call it technicals. Anytime we don't have the greatest sense of what was causing it, we can always lean on those two reasons. It did feel like beans went a little too high yesterday. One of the things that they do follow the technical markets, or a lot of these markets are traded very technically. Soybeans went up to the 10-day moving average, which had been solid resistance really since early September. Late August, actually, when we got that quarterly stocks report, we went down below the 10-day. We had not been able to close above the 10-day since that quarterly stocks report. Excuse me, that was back in the end of August. We haven't been able to go through the 10-day. And so yesterday, we got the WASDE report. It was kind of a bullish bounce, and we hung right around that level. That was about 1272 and a quarter. And finally, we got through it. And when we did, you could just triggered a bunch of buying, probably a lot of buy stops sitting out there on short positions, and then pushed us right up to 12.99 and three quarters. We couldn't break that $13 barrier. And so I think today or this morning when we came in and we couldn't get through, made one more charge at it, went to 12.98 and a half, couldn't get through that level, and market just kind of got tired and sold off and went right back down to that 10-day. And now, what was resistance yesterday acted as support today.
So Tyler, with corn then, was it just not as much action? We didn't see either way in these last 2 days?
Yeah, I mean, corn probably was a follower of beans yesterday. The corn yield did get dropped a little bit as well, but again, they came in and they basically made up for it by cutting exports. We still think that they could probably lower that as well again. We think there's probably more room to take out exports both on corn and beans in future reports. Now, again, that's not saying next month we're going to see that happen. It's a long time between now and the next September WASDE report. So there's quite a few chances for the USDA to come in and say, hey, we're not going to meet this export target that we currently have set. And so, I mean, that's basically what they did yesterday on corn. They lowered the yield, lowered production, but then they came in and said, well, you know, yeah, you're going to produce less, but you're also going to sell less abroad, which really left that corn carry out, I won't say unchanged, but didn't see a significant change. But, you know, corn, when you got beans up 40 cents, corn's going to follow it. So it did. And now we're just kind of seeing the back end of that as well.
So a lot to talk about with the grains, but on the other side of the ag marketplace, how did the livestock respond today?
You know, livestock have been a funny market. Everything that you could have said for about the last month, you know, you could argue the financials were falling, and that's what was causing feeder cattle, fat cattle, hogs to fall apart. The last few days, we've actually seen the stock market, the financial markets show some improvement. Today, you've got the Dow up 50 points, and feeder cattle settled down $2, fat settled down $1. You know, the fundamentals still support a strong cattle market. Cash is still fairly strong. The box beef trade has slipped a little here as of recently, but people are still eating beef, and the packers are still struggling to find fat-ready cattle. And the feedlots are going to continue to fill up as much as they can. But some of the stories we're hearing, the number of feedlot ready calves is just not there. A lot of smaller drafts going through sale barns. We know a lot of them sold on internet auctions earlier this summer, but you know, the calves are not there like they have been in the past.
And now, Tyler, it does seem like we're kind of keeping an eye as well on just the overall economic picture and that ability to spend for the U.S. consumer, because as you mentioned, that price of beef, you do have to pay a little bit more if you want to buy it at the store. But so far, we haven't had any indications that people are unwilling to do that, have we?
No, we haven't. You know, the restaurant trade seems to be doing well. You know, we really haven't seen a scenario where the consumer backs away from purchasing beef, and that's really what's had this market on edge for quite some time. You know, what will happen going forward? There's some things that we're concerned about. You know, you can look, credit card debt is sky high. Interest rates are not coming down, but you know, according to the jobs report, we're still adding jobs and people are still working. So, you know, I guess until we see that we've got some unemployment creeping up, I would expect that beef demand stays robust.
Tyler Schau of agmarket.net, our guest today. Tyler, how can our listeners, our viewers get in touch for more great marketing information?
Check us out on the internet, agmarket.net, and if they want to call direct, number 701-987-6009.
Lots of great tools available for you to use. Tyler, thank you so much for the time as always. Have a great weekend.
You bet. Take care, guys.
And thank you once again to Tyler Schau of agmarket.net for our closing market analysis. It's time now for the closing numbers, courtesy of the folks at Bar Chart.
December corn down 2 3/4 at $4.93 1/4. November soybeans down 9 3/4 at $12.80 1/4. December soybean meal down $2.90 at $3.90 even. December soybean oil up $1.01 at $54.38. Chicago wheat up 4 3/4 at $6.06 1/4. Minneapolis wheat down 1 1/2 at $7.22 even. Kansas City hard red wheat down 6 even at $6.69 even. March oats down 1/4 cent at $4.03 1/4. On the Merc, December live cattle down $1.05 at $186.75. November feeder cattle down $2 even at $251.57. December lean hogs down 60 cents at $69.50. December pork cutout down 22 cents at $79.40. Class 3 milk up 10 cents at $17.40.
It is time now to take a break and hear from our sponsor, the Iowa Soybean Association and the Soy Checkoff. And then coming up, I will be joined by Kurt Alice of Farmers Business Network, as we will learn more about the partnership between FBN and ADM.
Iowa Soybean Association is driven to deliver for Iowa's 40,000 soybean farmers. We're proud to provide objective agronomic research, a helping hand with soil and water stewardship, and timely industry news powered by the Soybean Checkoff. Learn more at iasoybeans.com.
You're watching Ag Matters PM on the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network. In today's show, I'm joined by Kurt Alice of Farmers Business Network to talk about the partnership on some of the sustainable farming practices with ADM that are available through the FBN technology platform. Joined today by Kurt Alice of Farmers Business Network as we talk today about the collaboration effort between FBN and ADM, a partnership that has been in the works since 2022. Kurt, thanks so much for joining us here today. Could you first of all start off, please, by letting us know how this program got started and kind of how it's worked out for FBN so far?
Yeah, as you mentioned, we've been working with ADM since 2022. Running some of their sustainability programming, namely their regenerations program. And FBN really provides the technological infrastructure for ADM to run their programming. We work with farmers to collect all of their data and information in order to facilitate the markets that get farmers paid for their ecosystem services. So ADM has been interested in running these programs for a long time. They were an early mover in the conservation space, and we work to help run their programs to help turn practices like cover cropping and nutrient efficiency into outcomes and rewards so that farmers can incorporate these practices into their business decision making.
So Kurt, since 2022, the partnership has been in effect, and just looking at some of the numbers on paper, pretty impressive stuff. Could you tell us how many people have been participating in the program so far and kind of what they've been up to?
Yeah, we were off to a really fast start last year. We brought 1,500 growers into the program across a number of states. And this year, we're doubling the program. 3,000 growers will participate in this year. Around 2 million acres of farmland will participate across the U.S. and Canada. And in Iowa, that's going to be a core area where farmers are going to participate. ADM's running programs across Burlington, Cedar Rapids, Clinton, Des Moines. And so there's over 100 farmers enrolled already, and we expect that number to grow rapidly in the coming months.
So Kurt, you mentioned all those sites around Iowa, and you're right. Is it just a matter of if you're in those locations and you're close to those sites, you can probably get involved in the program, or is it going to be pretty much anyone in the state of Iowa?
Yeah, so any farmer in the state of Iowa can participate. Some of the programs are directly linked to delivery of bushels to one of those 4 facilities I mentioned. But any Iowa farmer should talk to an ADM representative or someone at Farmers Business Network and see if there's a fit for them in the program. And so really any grower that is interested in conservation is thinking about continuing conservation practices on their farm or introducing new practices should consider the program and see what their rewards could look like.
And you mentioned that fit for a farmer and their particular operation. So how does that process work, Kurt? I know you can go onto the FBN website, the FBN app, and see these programs laid out in front of you, but is it a case of them putting in some of your information about your operation, and then the FBN technology and the FBN platform helps you to match with some of those programs that fit your operation?
That's close. Yeah. So, you can talk to someone at ADM or FBN about the requirements for the program. There's certain practices that a grower has to be using, for example, planting a cover crop on fields, and then certain data requirements that need to be submitted through FBN in order to earn that premium. We need that information in order to verify what's happening on the ground and really confirm that that farmer is eligible for a payment. And so, from the beginning in our relationship with ADM and really since the start of FBN, data security has been number one in terms of earning trust for the growers that participate in our various products and services, sustainability and beyond. And so, none of the farmers' information is going to be shared beyond the program participants, and that's all in the contract. So to answer your question more directly, the contract and an ADM or FBN rep is the best way to learn more about the program, what the requirements are, and how you can participate.
So, Kurt, more to that point that you were just talking about meeting those requirements. Of course, if you're going to be participating in a cover crop program, then you would need those cover crops. But is it also a case of, is it an output-based contract, or is it just a participation-based contract? If you're in the program, then that is going to be what gets you that premium.
That's a fantastic question. So I think you're seeing that conservation programs really across the country are starting to blend payments for practices and payments for performance. And the regenerations program is the same. If you're planting a cover crop and you can prove that those covers made it into the ground, there's a reward for that. On the emission scoring side, if a farmer is performing at a certain carbon intensity level, if they have a certain emissions score, then they can actually get rewarded for the outcome as well. And so the data requirements, what you have to submit for the emission scoring program are a little bit more intensive. This is your fertilizer plan. This is some information about other agronomic practices that you're utilizing on the ground. We want to know about what you're doing for tillage, a host of other information. But in that instance, in the emissions program, you're getting paid for those outcomes. Which is great because we feel like the carbon intensity score is a great way to align the farm business goals with conservation goals.
And Kurt, you've mentioned it a little bit as we've talked during the interview, but when we think about, some of these conservation practices, immediately the first one that jumps to mind, I think for a lot of people, is cover crops, and that is a big one, but it's not just cover crops. What other practices are we talking about?
Yeah, so cover crops are the big one for the programs in Iowa. And then on the emission scoring side, nitrogen efficiency is really the big area where you can impact your emissions and you can reduce your carbon intensity score. And so what's great about carbon intensity scoring is it takes yield into account. Yield is in the denominator of those scores. And so as a farmer continues to think about their business goals, improving their yields over time, if they're also able to conserve on the fertilizer side, basically align those two goals, they can get rewarded for that as well. And so nitrogen efficiency is a big area of improvement that we're excited to incentivize with ADM. It's also a difficult nut to crack, right? For a long time, fertilizer has been cheap and has been used for insurance on the farm to a certain capacity. And so it will be a continued effort, I think, with a lot of different partners in the conservation space in order to give farmers the tools that they need to maximize or really optimize their nitrogen use on the farm.
So, Kurt, as we wrap up here today, is there anything else you'd like to let our Iowa farmers know when it comes to this program, what it's already accomplished in 2022, and the growth we've seen already in 2023?
Yeah, I'd just like to say, if you're interested in being rewarded for conservation practices, if this is an area where you think you could earn additional premiums and additional income for the farm while working on things like soil health and resiliency on your farm, I think ADM Regenerations is a great area to look. The rewards are up to $25 an acre, depending on the practices that you're using. And so the real call to action is if you're working with someone directly at ADM, give them a call, learn more about the program. If you're working with someone at FBN, same thing. Reach out, learn more, see if the program is a good fit for you, and we'll go from there.
Kurt Allis of Farmers Business Network, our guest here today. Kurt, thank you so much for taking the time to tell us about the expansion of the partnership between FBN and ADM. We really appreciate it. Have a great day.
Thanks so much, Mark.
And thank you to Kurt Allis of Farmers Business Network for that interview. It is time now for a check of the ag weather outlook. While the fall temperatures have certainly been pleasant, where it has been warm at times during the day, cooling off just a little bit at night, we have now entered the gloomy part of the fall season, and that is going to stick around here for the next couple of days. In fact, it is very gloomy here in Des Moines today, and chances for rain and even storms around the state of Iowa today pretty much border to border. And then also this evening we have chances for rain, although it's going to be more of the shower variety tonight. And as we turn our attention to tomorrow, those rain chances continue. And again, it's chances for storms and thunderstorms on Saturday, and it is widespread chances throughout the state of Iowa. So make sure you check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate to find out about those rain chances in your area. So let's turn our attention now to the National Weather Service and what's in store for the next 24 hours.
As you can see from the National Weather Service, statewide chances for showers and thunderstorms today, high temperature range 56 to 67. Tonight, breezy with widespread chances for rain showers, 43 to 51 degrees, the low temperature range. Chance for showers and breezy on Saturday, highs expected 51 to 56. And now for our affiliate weather map for Saturday. Cherokee, a chance for showers, high around 65. Shenandoah, chance for showers and breezy, 54. Des Moines, a chance for showers and breezy, high 51. Albia, chance for showers and breezy, also a high of 51. Waterloo, chance for showers and breezy, 55. Clinton, breezy, showers likely, then a chance for showers and a high around 56.
For a more detailed forecast in your local area, make sure and check with your local Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network affiliate. They will have the local weather for you and an update on those chances of if you have any rain headed for you either today, tonight, or tomorrow. And that's also going to do it for today's episode of Ag Matters PM. You can find all of our content on our website at iowaagnet.com. Also, you can find all of our video content on YouTube at the Iowa Agribusiness Radio Network's YouTube page. And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe. Click on the notification icon as well. That will let you know whenever we have any new videos available for you. You can follow us on social media as well, on X, LinkedIn, and TikTok. And don't forget our free twice daily market podcasts, which are found on Apple, Amazon, Google, Spotify, and Podbean. From the IARN studios in Des Moines, I'm Mark Magnuson. For Riley Smith, Dustin Huffman, and Andy Peterson, we thank you for watching. This has been Ag Matters PM.